Anti-American problems demand vintage American solutions. In this show, we're going to present easy fixes to our nation's problems. If you don't think the solutions are easy, we'll point out that the issues that we do have are done on purpose to perplex us. This is a short, edited version of the first episode, Operation Lobster Tail. And that episode focuses on the main point, the new system of Immericans servery. Here, I am giving information on how to buy the mask and some of the works that we have coming up for sale. This particular painting behind me in the video is the video behind me that's playing. That is the right one. And the video is a digital artwork titled FELT's The Ever Living. Really brief for those who don't know who FELT's is. He was a person who existed in Greece who betrayed his country and his countrymen for personal and financial comeuppance. After these characters' demise, the name FELT's has only been attributed to people with no allegiance to their own and will betray them all for his own weak and selfish purposes. Alright? Here, the mask shown behind me, which gets quite a bit of interest, is a creation by us and was made for the elections. Like most of our licensed works, which you will learn how to access later. It is our country's constitution, with the enlarged title, "We," used as the eyes, nose, and mouth of the mask. The design emulates a paper blowing in a wind so strong it sticks to a person's face, as you can see me demonstrating in the back here. It sticks to the person's face, and when the person finally pulls the paper off and looks at it, he reads the most important message that the story has for the theme, which 100% of the time changes the person's views and actions going forward in that particular life story. So I'll give the information later in the episode on how to attain the mask and how to also attain the licensing for it. And we begin with anti-American problems demand vintage American solutions. You'll see the bag of solutions, of course. I love that bag. I love it. So, here we go. Anti-American problem number 1. Invasion of immigrants. How do we fix that? A new innovative investment opportunity for we, the people. Immericans, meaning immigrants in America, and servery, meaning to provide a service to Americans. Avatar, meaning a human acting and operating in the world as a body for another human who controls the avatar's day-to-day activities. American avatars for American servery. These are the definitions of these words which you will hear throughout this pitch that we have. American, immigrants in America, servery, immigrants in America, serving at the behest of Americans, or the Avatar Initiative. Moving along, this here this is where I'm insisting in this video, in this part of the video, very vehemently that you stop with all the clash at the border and the chaos and the fighting, etc. Let's not act like the actual animals we had in the country. The ones that's leeching off of the government and fighting and killing every day and destroying shit in people's lives. We should use our minds. This is the easy fix if we can focus and trust each other. This could be the thing that turns everything around, but we have to move as we, the people. You'll see here soon when I'm explaining how the Constitution literally says in order to form a more perfect union. Union meaning two or more entities coming together or joining together. That denotes two separate entities. It's clear now that the government entity in this union no longer wants to be a perfect union, with the people specifically. And most would say they don't want to be a union at all, let alone a perfect one if you just analyze their actions. Everything they are doing is to destroy or disrupt in some form or fashion. The border issue is first anti-American problem, is the first anti-American problem. And if you join the huddle, you can hear the game plan that will get us a win out of this instead of complaining and fighting about it, which literally does nothing for us, but more for them. In that they will send out the National Guard to create order, quote unquote. Let me throw up the quote. You can't say it without create order when they actually caused the disorder, right? So what are we going to do? Continue crying for them to fix a destructive situation? Why? Why would they do that when they created the destructive situation? They've called their plays. We will always be in a losing position if we don't understand that it's time for us to call our own plays. So huddle up. Let's go over the first game plan. The first play is called American Servery. In this next slide here, I'm introducing a video segment from CNBC not too long ago that they aired called Why the U.S. Won't Put Immigrants to Work. They have a few people from the organizations of immigration that discuss the details of immigration, how much money the government is wasting, opportunities, etc., etc. I won't go through it completely, but I'll give you the important notes. We'll be real quick, with this, but it's important that we see this going forward. Here we have the Director of Immigration Studies, the Immigration Statistics and Opportunities, or something else. I couldn't remember what the last guy does, not important, but there are a number of them, but here are the important points. Again, you can go to the segment itself. It's 14 minutes short, very telling of the situation. So here's he's saying, the first guy, Jay Beer, that they tell immigrants that if they are coming here for economic opportunity, if you are coming here to have a better life and to be part of America, you are going to be an asset. This is the thing that immigrants are told coming over, crossing the border. She adds on, as soon as we realize that immigration is never going to stop, the sooner someone can come up with solutions as to what to do with them. She goes on to say that there is no general consensus on what to do. There is literally no plan on what to do with them beyond letting them in. And this last guy is saying, as you can see the captions, I froze it or screenshotted it on the caption. So this is literally what they're saying out of their mouths. I'm not saying this. This is what they're saying. So the last guy says, Americans shouldn't look at immigrants as a burden, but instead as a blessing. Saying that immigrants are coming here and they are willing to work, they are willing to contribute the skills that they have and are willing to learn if Americans give them a chance. The segment concludes with him saying that it is un-American to not take advantage of this situation. Agreed. So, I want to point out some of the things from the same video. As you can see, the title still here. I'm explaining in the last video why the U.S. won't put immigrants to work. In the beginning of the segment, they point out how $1 trillion a year is being passed up just by letting them sit there. This is just by letting them sit there. This is not anything productive. Just by letting them sit there, it's 1,000 a month. A year. I'm sorry. With the play, I think we should run as a society, as we the people, as our own organization, as our own faction, as our own sect. Remember, to form a more perfect union that makes two separate entities. If the government's going to run their own thing, we have to run ours. If they're going to run their plays and we are no longer a team, then we need to run our own plays, right? With the play, I think we should run as a society. I'm sure you'll agree that $1 trillion is chump change compared to what we can do with them, which you will see here shortly. show you now are the most important minutes of this video. These are the things that I captured from the video that I wrote down. Alright? Here are the most important minutes. You have to see these. In the case of anti-American problem of immigrant invasion, the first note is wasting at minimum $1 trillion per year, which you'll see shortly is such a low number based on potential. 13 plus million illegal immigrants already here and more coming. That's 13 million, that was a month ago. Immigration directors, statistics, and other professionals ensure that that immigrants are aware upon arrival that if they are here based on economic opportunity, you will be seen as an asset. The government doesn't have a consensus or a general plan or order about what the immigration system should be. 5. They acknowledge migration will continue and that at some point someone will come up with some form of solution as to what to do with the 13 million and counting. 6. They think we should stop looking at immigrants as a burden and start looking at them as a blessing. Fine. 7. Immigrants are ready and willing to work if given the opportunity. Good to know. 8. They also think that it is un-American to not put immigrants to work. America, let's take this 13 million miles per hour fastball that they just pitched us, and instead of letting it strike us out, let's smack it out of the park. This is a fumble. It's an interception, a turnover on their part. They're expecting us not to know what to do and to not have any solutions but to complain and fight and cry, etc. Don't be the type to do all the complaining and then get a freebie and drop it. The moment it lands in your lap, you drop it and don't know what to do with it. You know, like the player complaining that he doesn't get the ball, and then when you finally throw it to him, he drops it. Don't be that person, America. They threw us the ball. It's right here. Let's score some fucking points for the U.S. Let's score some points for us. For we, the people. Alright? Let's get into this next slide. Look at this. Really brief. I'm going to go through a couple of them. Look at this. Invasion. Sleeping in the alleyway. Invasion. Tents. Sleeping in the parks outside of complexes. Invasion. Chinese illegals on pace to break records at the U.S. southern border, and continuing influx of migrants put strain on NYC shelter. Duh. What'd you think was going to happen? There's Chinese illegals. Immigration on pace to break records at southern border. Thousands of Chinese nationals entering the U.S. Chinese migrants are the fastest growing group crossing from Mexico. Chinese migrants in LA creating their own economy. This is absurd. And the theme of today's episode, when the government hands you lemons, let's order the lobster tail. Of course, we all know when life hands you lemons, you make lemonade, but in this particular case, order the lobster tail. I'm explaining here that this is our chance to position ourselves to put our feet up, to relax and live like JFK said. What does it mean to be American? Prosperous, powerful, privileged. A couple of notes first. U.S. national debt increases by $1 trillion every 100 days. This is posted in February. But most importantly, it's been reported Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas defended a controversial policy to allow up to 30,000 immigrants to be flown into the U.S. each month as a key element of the Biden administration's border strategy. 20 states had sued over the process of Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans last year, claiming that it was unlawful. The scheme was first announced in October of 2022, which allowed for migrants to fly directly into the U.S. Also here, Biden administration admits flying 320,000 immigrants secretly into the U.S. to reduce the number of crossings at the border. So he hit you Democrats with the okey doke. So you would stop complaining about the crossing on the border on foot. He started sneaking them in through the air. That's a whole lie. That's like a security guard who like supposed to be guarding the store, building a business, or the building of a business, and decides to let the crooks and the thieves in through the window, since the cameras are pointed at the doors. That person's getting fired. Whenever a store or establishment, right? Whenever there's a store or establishment targeted for robbery, if the culprit or robber is in any way related to or affiliated with the security guard, the guard is fired for conspiracy. So when you point out that there are illegal entries into our establishment, when their entrance is supposed to be denied, and instead you sneak them through another way while pretending to be concerned about the security, you should be fired for conspiracy and lying. This is quite dishonest and villainous, if you ask me. Alright? Biden's new border plan shows. Let me see this. Whoa. Really? Biden's new border plan shows I can't do anything was always a lie. Look at it. It was always a lie. Every time he told you that he was trying to do something to stop the crossings at the border, he was lying, because they flew in 320,000 a month. They're flying in 320,000 a month. So when he told you that, he was lying. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Alright? So here we are. Here I'm explaining a couple of notes before going forward. The average American household owes $10,000 in credit card debt, $60,000 in student loan debt, $241,000 or $242,000 basically in mortgage debt, and $22,000 in auto loan debt. Don't you want out of that? How about 65% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, making it the main financial lifestyle? Or this U.S. debt on pace to top $54 trillion in the next 10 years. Yet, through all of these, the government is still giving Israel and Jewish countries like Ukraine, because Zelensky is Jewish also, they're giving them trillions, damn near, like in total. So, a few things there, and also let's touch on this thing. New bill in the state of Illinois would allow immigrants to serve as law enforcement. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker signed a bill into law that allows non-U.S. citizens to become police officers in the state, angering critics who slam the idea of foreigners arresting American citizens as fundamentally a bad idea. Former mayoral candidate Wilson also opposed the bill, arguing that it defies common sense that non-citizens should be arresting and detaining legal citizens. You see, they have no plan for it. They are really just waiting on Americans to get fed up and to get violent. Don't fall for it, America. When they hand us lemons, get the most expensive lobster on the menu. Alright? So just remember, stop. Don't fall for the chaos. Regroup. This is an easy win for us if we can focus and run our routes right. As they say in sports. I do use a bit of, sports references because ball is life, of course. Right? Don't contest that at all. But I want to drive home that we cannot react in chaos anymore. You understand? It's the same as in a sport when you do things to get the refs involved. Don't get the refs involved. You're going to lose. Once you get the refs involved on your behalf, you're going to lose. We have to play smarter than that. We have to channel that energy to the game plan. All right. So if we apply these principles to what we are dealing with, we'll destroy this. This is easy work for us, America. All right. We be back in the game by year's end. This is our game to lose. Honestly, it looks bad now. It looks bad now, but it is our game to lose. As you see me explaining in the previous video here, remember, in order to form a more perfect union, it is clear to us now that they do not want a union with us. They're doing their own thing. Are we going to sit there and cry and beg them to come back to us and to please help us? No. You ran your place, we're going to run ours. So, with that said, most of us know already the top 3 issues that plague us the most are immigration, the economy, and government. Doing this plan, running this play that I'm presenting, this play that I'm drawing up for us, fixes all 3 of those in one shot. Technically, it fixes more issues than that. I just wanted to point out our most pressing issues according to society and what will be addressed immediately. It could seep into poverty, definitely help in unifying the country. I believe it will improve race relations because when everyone's happy and prosperous, it's hard to be angry at little things when you have successful investments, especially if it's in the same field as American servery. This would most definitely bring the country together. The federal budget or deficit, if we wanted it to, if the government got involved, then the profit from it would pay for affordable health care. The goal here is, as they take and destroy, our response as the opponent is to create and build, right? If a quarterback is passing, the best response is to intercept it. You understand? Whatever they're doing, you have to do the opposite. If a person is shooting the ball, you have to block it. That's the basic science of going up against an opponent. Boxing. You don't put your face out to catch the punch. You move and dodge the punch or block the punch or counter punch. There are basic sciences to this, and we have to get that through our minds, we the people. We have to get that through our minds. Whatever they're doing, we have to respond. All right? With that said, this is the correct and most efficient response, to takers and destroyers, or creators and builders. You understand? So you see immigration, government, and economy in general. Poverty is 5th, I'm sorry. Here is a segment on the Hill where they are discussing that the public's concerns are leaning more to the economy becoming more destructive than immigration. Well, lucky for us, we have a plan and a play that we can run that will fix both in one fell swoop. All right? As you can see here, these two are conversating about economy edging out immigration as the top voter issue. All right? Remember these notes going forward. I think this is the last time I have it in here. I want you to remember these notes, that we are wasting at minimum $1 trillion per year, which you'll see shortly is still a low number based on potential. 13 million illegal immigrants already here and more coming. Immigration directors, statistics, and other professionals ensure that immigrants are aware upon arrival that if they are here based on economic opportunity, you will be seen as an asset. The government doesn't have a consensus or a general plan or order about what the immigration system should be. Okay? 5, they acknowledge migration will continue and that at some point someone will come up with some form of solution with what to do with the 13 million and counting. They think we should stop looking at immigrants as a burden and start looking at them as a blessing. Immigrants are ready and willing to work if given the opportunity. They also think that it is un-American to not put immigrants to work. America. Alright? Let's remember those things going forward. Anti-American problem, invasion of immigrants, vintage American solution, Immericans servery, the Avatar initiative. Let us begin. The format we will use is the one we are born with. We were born in the capital of capitalism. As of yesterday, still the largest free market on the planet Earth. No other planet can compete. I mean, most don't contain and sustain any life, but that's not our problem. We win by default. So, one could say we are the greatest free market in the galaxy. We are the heirs to it, Americans. It is from our country, our land. It is foolish for us to not use it, not to wield it as the enemies to our sovereignty, or the enemies to our sovereignty have. The only difference is we let them partake in it, but it's ours by birth. The ability to create, manufacture, build, invent, buy, and sell things with impunity when our rights, freedoms, and sovereignty is intact. We must access this power of ours now. If you want to do a test run of what we can do when we set our minds to it together, or when we put our minds, or how do I say, when we set our minds or capitalism as a means for American revival, American servery is that test. It is written that he who seeks continues seeking until he finds. When he finds, he will be startled. And once he is startled, he will become astonished. Then he will rule over the all. We, the people, the power, the weapon we need is right under our noses, and we've been here forever. Come, let us operate, we the people, as a corporation, a business, or a team that we are all shareholders in, decreed by our founders, and we will be out of this rut, this sabotage of our American values in no time. Here, you be the judge. Let's make a deal, all right? 13 million deals. Of course, there's more by now, I'm sure. Let's do some American shit, all right? They want to come here, let them come, all right? Let's do some American shit. Seriously, I'm ready for it. I am here for it, for some American shit, all right? Do you remember Michael Oher? You remember this guy? Played for the Baltimore Ravens in the NFL. They made a movie about about him called The Blind Side. Sandra Bullock played the mother, I believe. Leigh-Anne Touhy. It's a film about this kid, Michael Oher, as you can see here highlighted, was pretty much a homeless kid, a ward of the state of Tennessee, just before he turned 11 years old, and he was living on the streets. A friend's father helped get him into school, where Michael started playing football. During the summer of his junior year, Oher started staying with this couple, Shawn and Leigh-Anne Touhy, occasionally. Where other parents of Michael's classmates saw Michael simply as a nice kid in need, conservators, Shawn and Leigh-Anne Touhy saw something else, a gullible young man whose athletic talent could be exploited for their own benefit, the report reads. Now, currently Michael Oher is suing the Touhys because he thought he was adopted by them. But he's found out that he never was. They were only conservators and had no rights to the millions they made off of him from the movies or the NFL contracts. Okay, so in layman terms, poor kid, needed home. A family saw an opportunity, took him in, fed him, clothed him, gave him a place to stay, helped him succeed in school. He goes on to make millions in the sports industry, which netted them millions, or which netted the family or the couple millions for their guidance. This, America, is what American Servery, the Avatar Initiative, is all about. Let's take this Michael Oher method and apply it to the immigrants. It's brilliant, world-changing and life-saving for Americans, okay? I had AI, artificial intelligence chatbot, break down Michael Oher's story. The most important part is the highlighted part. This is what is going, this is what is going to to get us, societal Americans, we the people, out of this financial situation. It can't be corporations or government. It has to be us, and we have that right to do that, which we'll get into later. So listen, understand the highlighted segment. Replace Michael Oher's name with immigrant, and replace the Touhy's name with Immericans. Find a family with kids, take them in, mold them academically and physically to where they can make it to college, who also pays student athletes now with the NIL, which we'll get into later, and hopefully get them into a high-paying industry to where the Americans can capitalize off the success and their investment through contracts from today. You understand what I'm saying? So here, I'll read this really quick. What this says: the Touhys provided Michael with a stable home environment and supported him both academically and in pursuit of playing football under their care. Michael thrived academically and excelled in football, eventually earning a scholarship to play for the University of Mississippi, Ole Miss. And Michael's success continued, and he was drafted by the Baltimore Ravens in the first round of the 2009 NFL draft. And that contract was $13 million. Okay? That's brilliant. That was brilliant. Now look at this. We could do this method with all these immigrants here. Look at them. Millions of them. They want to come here to work? Great. They want to participate in the American dream? Awesome. There are 13 million plus immigrants sleeping in alleyways and streets. Let's put them to work for us. We are from the capital of capitalism, America. This is our right. It's right up our alley, man. It's what we do. It's what America does. We will find a way to get the money, okay? We have to act, we have to play like that. We're playing the same game, all right? No more of this standing by or watching the government throw plays at us, and everybody's calling it out in a huddle. Everybody's calling it out and saying, hey, look, they're doing this, they're doing this, they're doing this. But no one's running any plays. We don't have any plays. We're not on the field. We're not on the court. We're not in the ring. We're just pointing out what they're doing. So, take a good look at them. Millions more. Millions more. Not only do they do these professions anyway, this graph is showing the jobs that immigrants normally do when they settle in America. But we could turn this up a notch. You see what I'm saying? These are the basic jobs that they do, the basic jobs that they get hired for. That doesn't net millions, maybe in the long run, but these are just the basic jobs. So they already have positions that they can carry, and we'll get into some of these later to maximize their potential. But look at these kids. Remember the CNBC segment, what the last guy said? We should stop looking at them as a burden and start seeing them as a blessing. Don't mind if I do. Look at this, programmers, athletes, actors and actresses, etc. I'm here explaining, like, my favorite part of this entire pitch. You know what I mean? This is the best part. The American avatar would be best applied, would be most successful, most lucrative if we applied it in this way, in the Michael Oher way. The multi-billion dollar industries, tech industries, sports industries, etc. is the best way to apply this Michael Oher method. As you've seen with the Touhys, if we are to have a direct impact on our personal financial security, then the economy, this is the way to go, America. Prove me wrong. When you look at this, prove me wrong. I would debate anybody on this. This is just too brilliant. It's perfect. Let's get into it. All right. As you see, my AI art back there with athletes, soccer players, baseball players. Check this out. Here are the numbers of becoming a professional athlete. These numbers only account for certain sports, not all of them, which is a good thing. We just have this minimum right now to work with. All right. There's more you can add on there, like women's gymnastics or golf. Not including the tech, software development, coding, programming, engineering, etc. I just grabbed this one from Business Insider, as you can see below, to give you a basic idea and vision. The blue bar is for the number of high school athletes. The red bar next to it are the numbers. Those would be the ones that go on to play in college, and then the green bar right next to that is the amount who will get drafted into the pros. So, under the second one, under the red, the athletes that will play in college is up to 200,000 kids nationwide that will get a chance to play college sports or get college scholarships. The reason why I started on the red bar and not the blue or green is because the pitch is about how Americans can take the lemons the government has handed us and turn it into a profit and financial comeuppance. The players that make it into college are now allowed to be paid. College players are getting paid now, which means if we invest in these kids, we can start getting paid or reaping the benefits of profit by the time they reach college now. We don't have, to wait until they're drafted to the NFL or to the pros, like the Touhys did Michael Oher, because college wasn't paying them, but now they are. So if the student athlete laws were changed when the Touhys had Michael Oher, they have made twice the amount of money they did. Lucky for us, the laws favor us in these times. Let's take a look now. Here's the stat sheet that I pulled from CBS Sports Digital, as you can see here below. CBS Sports Digital at the bottom, right here. It shows the top 10 highest paid athletes. I highlighted all of the athletes who are immigrants. So, as you've seen earlier in the beginning of the video, all of the Asians, the Chinese, Japanese, etc., flooding the border. In March, it was reported that Shohei Ohtani, Asian immigrant, just recently, this year, signed a baseball contract worth $700 million over 10 years. As you can see at the top here, you should be able to see Shohei Ohtani at the top, very top, $700 million over 10 years. That means $70 million per year for this immigrant. Not to sound offensive with that, just want to drive home the idea that we have 13 million plus immigrants. So I don't want to, it sounds like I'm emphasizing it. I am, but not in that way. So as the CNBC News segment said, Americans need to stop looking at immigrants as a burden and more as a blessing. So it's important that I emphasize the millions that immigrants attract specifically, the millions of dollars that the immigrants attract specifically. And I created this red box on the end, right here. I created the red box. This wasn't part of the segment. All of this is copy and pasted right here. I added this part, because this is the rate of return if Americans started creating contracts for immigrants at a 10% return rate, right? I want to point out, let me this is the good stuff. This is my favorite part. I want to drive this one home just right, okay? The only thing that I did, right, was highlight that red box, right, at the end, just to show you that if we were to do this, America, this is what we'd make with just a 10% return on investment. I chose 10% because that's the standard rate for managers, be it in acting, sports, music, or whatever. The last time I checked, at least, it's also the number in the Bible, 10% for tithing, and in the Alchemist, Melchizedek, the king of Salem, 10%. It's always the number. So I'm just going with that as a basic standard number, all right? So that seems to be the standard rate of return of investment throughout the ages. So let's go. If Americans did a contract with these immigrants and their children, and they agree to at minimum, a 10% return on investment from border to college to pros, we house, feed, help with education and some physical talents regardless of the sport. Let's take immigrant Shohei Ohtani, $700 million contract, $70 million per year. The American family that took him or her in, at 10% return would have recently netted $70 million, making $7 million per year. That's how much you and your family would have gotten, America, if we had American slavery prior to now. If the immigrants that come over here We cross the border and we give them a contract. And Shohei Ohtani in his childhood has signed a deal. Let's say he came over here as a child, right? Let's say he came over here as a child, as an immigrant child, as one of the many Asians, like I said, thousands of Asians. They're breaking a record crossing the border. Um, and he was a kid, and we signed a deal with his parents when they crossed the border. You'd be worth 70 million right fucking now. How many of the Mexican border crossings do you think like soccer? Huh? Cristiano Ronaldo, 536 million over 2.5 years. Look at that. Look at that number. Cristiano Ronaldo, right there. 536 million over 2.5 years. That's 214.5 million a year. And American families, or the American that adopted that kid, that young Cristiano Ronaldo, would be due 53.6 million, bringing in like 21.4 million a year on a 10% return. Even in boxing, look at there, Canelo Alvarez, Mexican boxer, 365 million for 5 years. An American family bringing in a Mexican immigrant, training him to fight efficiently, would net an American family 36.5 million. 7.3 million per year. All we have to do is do what the Touhys did with Michael Oher, but be intentional with it this time. You don't have to pretend to be the family member or adopt them or anything like that. There's no need to fake and act like, it's out of charity or a good cause. Let's make it known that it's an investment and this is a business, a new industry for the American people. It's what we do. You cannot be ashamed of it. We need to survive, and they are purposely trying to collapse us. So we need to run a play that we need to build money on. It's this thing that I thought of when I was watching the thing that's going on with Donald Trump, right? Going off script a bit, but it's in the previous videos. It seems like they're not trying to put him in jail. Really, they're not giving him community service and none of that shit. What are they doing? They're attacking his money. 450 million there, 300 million there, whatever. They keep throwing money. If he would just do what he does and make more money, you know what I'm saying? That's how you counter that. They're going to keep sending you through court cases and charging you millions on millions on millions and hundreds of millions. His response should be, I'm going to make more money, right? I did this before the Truth Social thing came out, and when it happened, I was like, boom! See, that's how you fucking do it. That's how you fucking do it. Now, what they say, he'll make almost $2 billion off of his stock in Truth Social. So that's a perfect example. I wish I would have did this video before so I could take credit for it. But anyway, that's what you do. When you have an opponent, you just counter what they do. We have an opponent now. They've chosen to be our opponent. We have to counter that. They want to let in a gang of immigrants. They want to try to flood us so they can dilute our numbers. Well, let's take them and monetize them. Human capital. So let's see. The rest says at the bottom with CBS Sports Digital down here. What CBS Sports Digital literally says, as a fallback plan, learn how to hit a baseball hard and often. 6 of the 10 players on the highest paid list are in Major League Baseball, and they have made all that money swinging a bat. Finding reliable hitters in a baseball lineup is a priority for every baseball team, and as you can see, they are willing to pay big money to get it. End quote. Right? You see, America? We can get in on the ground floor. Look at the notes I placed at the bottom. At the bottom right, it says the Border Patrol has their version of ICE. We should have our version of our own ICE, I-S-E, as in American Stock Exchange. Seriously. So you think that's deplorable? Listen, hear me out. Hear me out. So I read somewhere a while ago, and then I looked it up just to make sure so I could double check my sources and my facts, right? I looked it up, and I wanted to know, or to re-verify, what were the main things investors like Warren Buffett or Berkshire Hathaway, etc., all the big-time investors, what were the most important things they looked for before investing? Remember, if you watch these kinds of things, I remember actually watching a video with Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, right? Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, and it was said that so much research goes into investing prep, and that if you're not committed to diving in and doing the most meticulous ground level research, then you're in for a long, bumpy ride when it comes to investing, big investing. Um, the very first thing on all the lists of what to research before making a decision on investing in a company, you know what that very first decision is? That very first thing that you're looking for? The CEO. So before the billionaires make an investment into a company, they research the CEO to see if their resume of wins and losses, and if they're reliable or stable or capable of taking the company into a prosperous future. If they seem erratic or iffy at some point or another, then that lowers the enthusiasm of the investment and the investor, and there could be a possibility that the future or the company's success could be in jeopardy. Quick example. Just a quick example. Let's say the Papa John's pizza guy, the CEO. You remember how he was removed from the pizza joint's board as a spokesperson and a CEO or whatever for saying something racist? I believe it was it was something racist. He was removed, right? Okay, so let's say he becomes the CEO of another company. The investors would be least likely to invest in the company because the CEO has a history of costing the corporation and the investors millions, right? So what do I want? What do I want you to take from this? The experts, the most successful of investors' decision to invest in a company is first and foremost based on the CEO. I looked up the most wealthy and successful CEOs and their net worth currently, and guess how many of them are immigrants? Which the list labels American immigrants. Right? Let's have a look. You see here. And I use ChatGPT to cross-reference to verify what to look for when investing in a company. The very first one, and this is from Investing Answers, the very first answer is to start with the Chief Executive Officer, the CEO, right? So let's just say randomly, we're going to grab some names, all right? Elon Musk, CEO, founder, Tesla, SpaceX. Those corporations are worth a couple hundred billion. Elon himself, what's the number that they have for him? 10.7. 10.7, is that right? That is crazy. 10.7 billion. But he's an immigrant. He's from South Africa. Sergey Brin, immigrant, worth a couple hundred billion. Jerry Yang, founder of Yahoo, couple hundred billion. Jan Koum, founder of WhatsApp, 10 billion. If we can set this up right, investing in immigrants when they first come here, nurturing them into these industries, we can have a tremendous return for us, especially in a time when they're trying to destabilize us, right? You see what I wrote under it? Like masterworks.io. Let's go back. Masterworks, right here at the bottom. Where am I? Oh, here, masterworks.io. When I was heavy into digital art and NFTs, the art community, like Sotheby's and Christie's, art auction houses, they didn't like the NFT craze because they don't think that 3D digital art was valuable. Though mine was because my art was backed by actual patents and copyrights, and digital art was made to represent the patent or trademark and copyright material, which is of value in itself. But whatever, not mad because they don't have vision and fail to capitalize on asset class booms, but artless idiots. But anyway, the reason for pointing out Masterworks IO was for the business plan of, which is the same as investing. It is supported by Sotheby's and Christie's art auction houses to combat the NFTs, where one would normally attend the auction house to build or paintings. What Masterworks did was you submit your actual painting front and back, and they appraise it and allow it on the website. Now, people can go to your painting and invest money into it, pay for a portion of the painting, and when the painting is sold entirely, someone bids for the painting as normal as usual, and they pay whatever the bid was. Let's say 1 million. Then everyone who invested in the painting while it sat there on the market would receive a return on their investment once the painting is sold. So how is that different from the Michael Oher method, or of investing in something until it makes it to a point where someone or some organization with the money pays for the product or service, and then the people who invested in the product or service in its early days getting a return on their investment? It's the exact same thing, right? Like, let me know what you think down in the comments. I'm kidding. I'm not done. Not even close. So, that's the basic premise of American servery, is investing in something while it's at this ground level until it gets to a point to where we can capitalize or gain off of its success. They're here doing nothing. You already seen it. There's no general consensus. They just want them to get here so they can dilute them, so Biden can dilute the voting population. And because he let them in, he's expecting them to vote for him, because they're starting to get the voting thing now. I actually didn't include that information in this one. It's in the previous one, but you can also download the rough draft scripts and the rough draft videos also. So a lot of that information is in there. Remember, this is just the shortest version of it that we're doing right now, so we can just run through it, because time and how everything is happening right now in the world, we need to get this out so we can huddle up and really start running plays before it is too late. We have 6 months left until an election, and we have to get something in place or it is over. It is over. You understand? So, you see the upside here, right? You see the upside here, but don't stop there. As I mentioned earlier, and you can see as another note at the bottom on the left side, college students can now get paid millions for being an athlete. So Americans have the option to invest until college. You could just go into college, get through high school, and if they get a scholarship to college, then you can get paid. So Americans have the option to invest until college or to the pros. Either way, it's the most lucrative, we the people-based solution yet. Side note, I don't think I mentioned what NIL means. It's how the college students are being paid today. It's called NIL for name, image, and likeness. Since college sports programs have netted billions, definitely trillions in total, solely based on student athletes being good enough to sell jerseys like University of Michigan's Fab Five. Before the Fab Five attended Michigan, immediately after winning a championship, the University of Michigan made $1.9 million from student and fan purchases. That was before the Fab Five, and they had just won a championship before Jalen Rose, Cliff Grover, Juwan Howard, and them got there. 1 year after the Fab Five, they didn't win a championship because of the players who were, famously entertaining and style-bending future stars. They play on the court of the University of Michigan by the end of their first season netted the university $10 million. They went from 1 to 10 million. So, the players got none of that money. They were catching rides, borrowing money for McDonald's, while, their jerseys were hanging in sports store windows, and companies are making millions off of them, but the players weren't making anything. So fast forward into now, only certain people and institutions could capitalize financially. Never ever the players. So now it's run its course. Now that that's run its course, players are, demanding pay or a portion of the millions in earnings that the institutions make. Well, actually, they're getting through endorsement deals and things like that. So I don't think it's quite settled yet that the institutions pay them. I think it's more of endorsement deals with name, image, and likeness for like signing autographs and signing memorabilia and doing interviews and things like that. So the players can get paid before even playing a game. So now participating students can make money from their name, they can make money from their image, they can make money from their likeness. So let's dive in a little more. University of Michigan, again, go blue. Keon said. Fresh off of a Michigan championship, they are paying to pull players from championship teams. Saab is good, but he wasn't a star player on the Wolverines, not a star player. And still, here's the news. Whispers of lucrative NIL offers, name, image, and likeness offers for Michigan star players start pouring in during the Michigan's during the transfer window. Michigan's transfer window, but I think the transfer window is the same for all teams. It's just a point in time, a year that players can leave and go to another school for higher pay now. So one parent of a returning starter said that their son, see how they're still in their youth and referred to as such. One parent said that their son was offered roughly $1.7 million to play at a different school next season. This is more than what he was earning at Michigan, at the school then. They offered him to play at one of these schools. As you can see, all of those prestigious schools at the top: Colorado, Prime, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Notre Dame, FSU, Ole Miss, where Michael Oher went, Oregon, Bama, Auburn, Penn State, Mississippi State. It's some prestigious college there. So some prestigious institutions there. So they had the money to offer this player almost $2 million to play there, which is more than what he was earning on a no-ceiling championship winning 15-0 Dillon, beat Ohio State 3 years in a row, killing this. Been said that Michigan men don't do push-ups, we push the earth down, but go blue. We did that. But anyway, Michigan Wolverines ended up losing only one contributor to the transfer portal, to the transfer window. And that was safety Keon Saab. Who I liked. Saab was cool, though it's been said those who stay will be champions, but have at it, bro. Anyway, moving on. 29 positions. There are 29 positions on a football team. 55 players per team. 55 plus players per team. I heard there's been more. Surely your kid can make one of these teams. One of the 13 million plus immigrants here, you're telling me none of them have a chance at being great at something that could yield a return through the many positions, on many teams, on the many sports, of the many institutions. Statistics favor that upside. Football, boxing. We saw Canelo Alvarez's contract earlier. Look at this one. College kid worth $7.2 million without ever stepping on a court is what the headline says. Sure, some may say his name accounts for at least half, right? Still, the point is, schools and corporations are not shy at tiptoeing. They're not shy or tiptoeing around paying these young student athletes for their services. So look at his stats from his first season. He was worth $7.2 million before he ever played one game, before he ever stepped foot on the court, right? His very first season, 5 points a game, 2 rebounds, 2 assists per game. That's 5, 2, and 2. Most of you listening to this right now are probably sure you can score more than that in a college game, right? Maybe. I don't know. Probably. But this means, under the American Surgery Avatar Initiative, you could get an immigrant kid good enough to average 10 points, 5 and 5 in a high school game, and you could at least get $1 million in return on your investment before the kid plays his or her first freshman game. See this next? You see this next to Bronny that I have here? Next to Bronny, the top 1% club. I scrolled past this and had to snatch it. So, how much it takes for you to be in the top 1% of America's wealthiest? When they call them the 1%, the wealthiest people in America. That's right here, $5.8 million. If you have $5.8 million, you are immediately a 1%er. Bronny James' evaluation is at $7.2 million. A high school kid is in the top 1% of the wealthiest people in America on paper before playing his first college game. America, what are we doing? What are we doing? Let's do some American shit. If not for America, then for America. America would do it for sure. Alright? Let's do some American shit, baby. This is so easy. This is so easy. Let's monetize these human capital, baby. It's not bad. It doesn't have to be negative. It doesn't have to be destructive. It's positive. I'm pretty sure they would agree. It says that they come over here for economic opportunity, to live better lives, to go for the American dream. Let's put them through some Mamba shit, alright? Get them together. One more. Olivia Doon, Louisiana State University's gymnast, LSU's